This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George here with you as the Cubs lose to the Marlins 8-7, a gross loss for the Cubs in this one. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Look, you got one out left in the game. You're expected to win a baseball game, especially against the Miami Marlins. They blew it. There's another way to put it. Daniel Palencia has to pitch for the fourth day in a row, basically. He didn't pitch, I know, in Sunday's game. That's a technicality. But he warmed up. He was ready to come in the game. Doesn't have to. So 4 straight days of Palencia either in the game or getting up and down in the game. So he has to pitch in this one. No idea where Porter Hodgej is at. I'm sure about time Matt and Sam drop their podcast tonight here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel that will have an answer on what's going on. But overall, I mean, look, the Cubs should have won this game, especially when the fact that the big hits from Miguel Amaya were big hits by inches in this one. I mean, they really had multiple hits. Both of his hits in this one had a chance to, be caught on the home run and on the triple itself. And look, Kyle Tucker, not his best play out there in right field, I would call it in this one. I mean, he misplayed it, I would say. I mean, look, he missed that one. He has the one off the wall where he bangs into it pretty hard, but you have no Hodge, clearly. Something's going on. You have Palencia out there again, so he's up there for, the third of the last 4 games, but again, he warmed up on Sunday. Tucker's not having his best moments, and every time you had a lead, you kind of gave it away. And Ben Brown was a roller coaster in this game. So there's a lot to get into with this one. Again, we don't know where Porter Hodgej is at. Then we have to assume that he's just not available for this one, or Keller as well. We're seeing, Pomeranz come in there against all righties, a situation he's not normally ever involved in. Like, you typically would never see him in that situation, but he does his job. But the Cubs were close to blowing this thing in 3 innings in a row. I mean, you look through really what happened at the end of this game. Ryan Presley's in there in the 7th inning. You've got a runner on second base with 2 outs. He gets a strikeout. The inning's over. Pomeranz has Stowers on second base after a double with 2 outs. They get out of it. To have that situation come up 3 times in a row, like, your pitchers aren't just going to get out of it 3 out of 3 times. Like, it just feels unlikely. So why aren't these guys available? I don't know. I don't know. Porter Hodgej didn't pitch on Sunday's game. And what I find interesting about this decision is that we knew Ryan Presley has been demoted, right? We knew that Ryan Presley was not going to be in a position to where he was going to be the closer anymore. That's been made very clear by Craig Counsell. And I'm not blaming Palencia for this loss. Like, it was a couple hard hit balls. Like, he's been fantastic this season for the Cubs. You can argue he's been the best pitcher in the bullpen the entire season. This is his first, I believe, save situation as a professional. But if Ryan Presley's on this team, I'm kind of surprised that Presley is not the guy there in the 9th inning. I'm surprised by all of it, with who was on the mound when they were in there in the situation. And then the fact that Kyle Tucker just is, look, this is a Gold Glove winner in right field, and he just didn't get it done in right field the way that you needed him to in this game. I would say argue both those balls are catchable. I'm not looking at the analytical numbers and things like that about what is and what is not catchable for him, but he's got a shot at 2 catchable baseballs tonight. In my mind, doesn't really get close to either of them, and it's not the only reason why the Cubs lost this game. There's a bunch of stuff that the reason why they lost this game, but it doesn't help you in the end. I mean, you go through Ben Brown's performance in this one, gives up the 2 homers at the start of the game, but then at one point he goes 12 up, 12 down, and that's why he absolutely was just, there's no other way to describe Ben Brown other than roller coaster, because he struggled in the first, he was electric for 12 outs, and then he got chased out of the game very quickly. And all of a sudden, it's just like he was just gone. I mean, he had a 3 strikeout inning, a 2 strikeout inning. Ben Brown was good for a chunk. And then again, it unraveled. So the Cubs lost this game for a bunch of reasons. This is like, losses are frustrating. You want to win every game, especially teams that are terrible against the Marlins. But this is a frustrating loss. Like it's a gross loss, frustrating, whatever word you want to describe it. you don't want, I'm honestly almost like lost for words, and I can't be doing this job, but like, I did not think that the Cubs were going to be, losing a game like this. I think this is a great comment here from Larry here in the chat. If Ian Happ is back tomorrow, which they are expected to bring him back from the injured list either tomorrow or the following day, give Kyle Tucker a day off. Let him DH for a couple days just to give him a rest out there. He's clearly going through it right now. I mean, yes, he had I think it was 3 hits or 3 bats on ball where the ball was 100-mile-an-hour plus miles per hour off the bat, but they're just not going into the open area of the field right now. He's just going through it. So I would, especially after that collision into the wall, I kind of agree. I would give Kyle Tucker a day off and just let him DH the game there. But I'm curious. Everyone's got takes. You guys are welcome to live here in the YouTube chat. Who do you blame the most for this loss today? Feels like Kyle Tucker and Palencia are the top 2 guys to blame for this one. But again, I don't think we can look also what happened with Ben Brown in this outing. He really is struggling to get through lineups for the 3rd time. Now, this is not to be unexpected. I think that all of us that have been watching Ben Brown this season, this is kind of what it's been for him, where the first inning might get away from him a little bit. He settles down, and then it feels like it just blows up in his face like it did in this one. Like, if you look what happened here in the bottom of the 5th inning. So Kyle Tucker has that one where he just misses it. He's hit up. He's off the wall. So you get 1 runner scores, and you get the triple on the play. So it's 3-3 all of a sudden. Ben Brown gets a strikeout of Hill, but then Sanoja gets an RBI single. And this is where things really unraveled. And I don't know if this is a tell of something. I think this is something I want to watch for Ben Brown's next outing, what happened here in the bottom of the 5th. But the reason why the Marlins were really able to get out to this 6-3 lead is the first stolen base. I mean, the jump that they've got on Ben Brown, the guy, Sanoja, is halfway down to second base by the time Amaya is getting ready to throw the ball out. Sanchez gets the single right off of Ben Brown's glove, so it's 5-3 all of a sudden. And then there's another stolen base by Sanchez, and all of a sudden Lopez comes up, and other RBI single. So he just got like blooped to death basically there in, what was that, the 5th inning? Oh yeah, the 5th inning of the game. But the steals are what, to me, was one of the more concerning parts of that outing there. Is just how easily those guys were getting to second base and not even be able to be challenged by Miguel Amaya because they're so far down there. So that's something I want to keep an eye on his next start. I don't know if that's just he wasn't moving fast enough, but also someone on, whether it's Amaya or on the staff, has to tell him, like, they are looking at you and saying you're an easy target to run on right now. And we've seen the Cubs do that so well effectively on the flip side of it throughout the entire season so far. But those stolen bases really, to me, felt like, okay, this is where things feel like they're unraveling. And again, they come back. Miguel Amaya, who we're going to talk about in the second segment of the show here, and try to talk about some of the positives of this game that did happen. But we'll talk about, what we saw from Amaya and Shaw. But Ben Brown, Palencia, Tucker, all that stuff was no bueno, I would say. All right, we'll take a quick timeout here. A bunch of YouTube comments here live in the chat that I will look to double check on if it's accurate about Porter Hodge. We'll get to all that next year. We get back here on the Locked On Cubs postcast on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Today's show is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving is 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better-for-you unsaturated fats that help keeping you feeling fuller longer. We go with the no-shell variety. That way, there's no mess. Easy for my son to get a snack whenever he needs it. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live during the game as well. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, Oklahoma City and Minnesota. Over-under is at 215.5. I'm taking the over in that game. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so yes, as the YouTube chat here is saying, and as we are doing this show live here, we got the official word from Craig Counsell after the game. Porter Hodge has a left oblique injury and is going to be placed on the injured list. So we got the news before the game that Shota will be back, quote, well into June, which is not great. Not the worst I think that could have been, but Craig Counsell did say that that injury was worse than they expected it to be. I remember when they talked about Shota getting hurt, he said he had never had really an injury like this before. So he's out until June. Steele is out for a while. And now Porter Hodge is going on the injured list. The tweets that I'm looking at don't have an exact how long he's going to be out on the IL, but that's tough. The Cubs pitching staff is going through it right now. That's a lot of injuries already in the season. Look, we know how this is. We see what's happening with Tommy John across baseball. The benefit is that 2 of the 3 guys that have been hurt for the Cubs, they're not arm injuries. So you can logically think, okay, Shota can come back at some point in June. Porter Hodge can come back. But until you get there, you're now a quarter of the way through the season. You've lost, at this point, your top 2 starters and arguably your closer. So you know that you're just going to be faced with more challenges. And yes, it happens at, I would say, an opportune time as you're going through this 21-game stretch where you're now 5-2 against the worst teams basically in baseball. So you've got the Marlins, you've got the Reds coming up, you got a bunch of bad teams, and then hopefully Porter can come back on the other side of that. But this is a tough blow again for the Cubs because now you have to figure out what's the next step. What's the solution here? Is it Daniel Palencia? Is it Ryan Presley? I mean, the way he's pitched as of late, it's been a little bit better. I mean, really besides one disaster outing. Now, the advanced analytics will tell you that this was to be expected for Ryan Presley, that bad outing. But again, coming in a non-save, yes, a high leverage situation in this game today kind of makes you wonder, is it going to be, is it going to be Presley or is it going to be Palencia? My guess is we're going to see this Palencia experiment. That tonight was a hint of what is to come, that as long as Porter Hodge is not available for this team, that we'll see Palencia out there. Now, what does that mean? Well, when he's missing the zone like he was a little bit tonight, you saw him get maybe a little bit overwhelmed, but just couldn't get it done when he needed to. With only 1 out left in the game. The first 2 guys, easy peasy. Like we're grooving, we're getting ready for the post-game show, we're ready to go. And then it just, blew up from there. Phil says here in the chat, Keller as an option. You know what? I wouldn't hate it. But what I wouldn't be shocked by here is if we just see some experimenting, including, Thielbar, who we saw in this game tonight. Specifically, if he hasn't pitched in a game yet and you're coming up against a team and they got 2 lefties coming up in the bottom of the 9th or the top of the 9th, and it's a save situation, it wouldn't shock me if we see him come in and have some save opportunities while Porter Hodge is on the injured list. So we'll wait and see how long he's actually going to be out for. Kind of like Shota, oblique injuries are tough. Like you don't really know how long a guy is going to be out for, because it could be just a 10-day stint. It could be much longer than that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But that's just tough news for the Cubs right now. All right, let's talk about the positive stuff here before we wrap up. It's all been negative because that ending sucked. The Cubs blew it. It's the Marlins. You should have beat that team. Should have been riding a 4-game win streak. So let's talk about Miguel Amaya and what happened with the bottom of the order here before we wrap up today's show. So you see from the bottom of the order here, you got Nico, Ballesteros, Amaya, Matt Shaw, and Dansby Swanson, all with multi-hit games. Dansby Swanson goes 2 for 5. Nico goes 2 for 5. Ballesteros goes 2 for 5 with an RBI on an infield single that was just missed by the pitcher. It is a hit, actually. Still not really getting the ball out of there, out of the infield, I would say, in the way that we would have loved to see it when he first came up. And who knows, this might have been his last game with the Cubs, at least on the big league roster My guess is he's going to be the guy sent down with Ian Happ returning either tomorrow or the next day, assuming the Cubs are being honest with us about his injury. But then we see Miguel Amaya, 2 for 3, 5 RBIs, and a walk. He gets the home run early in the game, and he gets the triple. Monster game for Miguel Amaya. Huge performance from him. He was clutch when you needed him the most. Absolutely love seeing that. And, again, both those hits could have been caught. I mean, I think Stowers had the ball. His glove touched it on the home run, and he could have had the triple as well. Now, Ballesteros, yeah, that was a tough send. He's not fast. We're not going to shame people here, but he doesn't have he's not Pete Crow-Armstrong turning the corner there. He could have been safe. It was a bad slide. So not even just the send itself, I think, is a little questionable with his speed. They have seemed to be relatively aggressive with him so far in the base pass, but you got to get your foot down there, man. And again, I'm not going to blame him for this loss, but he was safe. But his foot touches the dirt, bounces up in the air. They get the tag out before it gets back down on the plate. So that's frustrating with him. But again, like the Cubs should have won. They should have won this game regardless of what happened there. And part of that is we saw Matt Shaw return to the Cubs and have 2 hits coming back, including an RBI double that gave the Cubs the lead. His leg kick is very different. I thought it was really interesting hearing them on the broadcast talk about how he didn't really implement this new leg kick until like the last 3 days or 2 days in the minors. So, but that was positive because the black hole at third base has been a huge problem for the Cubs. So to see Matt Shaw come back up, make impactful plays offensively does feel like a very positive thing for the Cubs out of this game. And again, the catching position has carried this team really throughout most of the season, whether it's been Carson Kelly or Miguel Amaya. Those guys are, responsible for so many clutch hits that have happened on this team. Game says here in the chat that Miguel Amaya will sit tomorrow. He guarantees it. Wouldn't shock me. It is something that Craig Counsell does that frustrates me. That when these guys do well, either Kelly or Amaya, that they flip it back and forth. I know some of that's going to be pitcher preference of who's behind the plate and whatnot, but it absolutely should be Miguel Amaya in the game tomorrow, giving you 5 RBIs in this one. So Matt Shaw, good game. Nico, Dansby, all those guys good. Now the top of the lineup, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Kyle Tucker go combined 0 for 9 with a walk and 4 strikeouts in this one. Need more from there. Only 1 hit from Suzuki as well. So you go quick math here. 1 for 13 with 2 walks and 5 strikeouts from your top 3 guys in the lineup. And again, not the reason why you lost this game, but also just adds into the fact there's a lot of reason why the Cubs lost this game. Sometimes I think games are cut and dry of why a baseball team loses a game. Tonight, there's a bunch of fingers you could point at everyone. Jameson Taillon coming up in this series as well. That's going to be an important start for him. 7 home runs in his last 8 innings pitched. Need him to not do that in this next start that he has because that would be very frustrating if that trend continues. So he needs to correct that one because while the Cubs were able to battle back in this game, don't need to see Taillon giving up batting practice in this next game to the Marlins because you got to win the series. I think the Cubs will win the series, and this will be the frustrating loss of the 3 games I expect. All right, that will do it for us here on the Locked on Cubs postcast on the Locked on Cubs YouTube channel. Remember, hit that subscribe button. We will talk to you guys tomorrow after the Cubs play the Marlins in game 2 of this 3-game series. Thanks for watching. Matt and Sam will have their show coming up in a little bit as well. So thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow.